Hey guys, YouTuber 100 here. Alright, now here I am continuing with these Rise and Fall of John Hughes reviews. But before I actually begin this review, there is something that I just want to note of really quick. Yeah, because I did say something before that I was going to do in these reviews, but yeah, there's like been a little bit of a change on that because of something that I just recently discovered. Yeah. So if you did watch my review of National Lampoon's Vacation, I did say that John Hughes, along with that film, did write another National Lampoon Vacation movie that I was going to be talking about in these reviews, which was National Lampoon's European Vacation. Yeah, but since then, I have actually found out that John Hughes did not actually write that movie. Like he wasn't like directly involved with the writing of that movie. So yeah, so since like John Hughes wasn't really the direct writer for that one. Yeah, I'm not gonna be talking about that one. Yeah, so yeah, I did put a note in the description for my review of the first National Lampoon Vacation movie about that. But yeah, in case you haven't seen it, just I'm gonna give this update right now that like uh, there's been a change, and I am not going to be talking about National Lampoon's European Vacation in these reviews. Yeah, so I'm not going to be talking about any other National Lampoon Vacation movies in these reviews. All right. So yeah, so I just want to get that out there first before I start this one. All right. But anyway, all right. So continuing on with these Rise and Fall of John Hughes reviews, and now for the next review, this is going to be a review for Pretty in Pink. Yeah. So this is another John Hughes film. Well, that is probably looked at as another one of his more popular movies that he wrote. Yeah, but yeah, this is one that I hadn't really seen before prior to when I watched it to make this review because I don't know, just from the title "Pretty in Pink," it seemed like this was really more for like towards the female demographic. So yeah, so I never really did watch this movie, and I really just have watched a lot of other John Hughes films. But yeah, this is one that I have never watched. Yeah, but yeah, but of course, with this being one of John Hughes's most popular movies, yeah, this really did have me give it a watch, and yeah, yeah, and going in I really didn't know what it was about. I didn't know if it was just about a group of girls or what this was gonna be about. Yeah, but yeah, give it a watch, and yeah, this was a pretty good movie. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, what this movie really was about, of course, it is centered around girl. This film is set around a high school senior girl who is kind of living with some tough times because yeah, her father is just an underemployed working class father, and yeah, and it shows that she really doesn't really seem to have a lot of friends, but yeah, she does have one friend that really does have a romantic interest in her, but she's not aware of it. Yeah, then in this movie she does end up meeting another guy that they end up having feelings for each other, but then it's revealed that this guy is among a popular crowd, and so as a result everybody in his crowd is really kind of heckling him for hanging out with the girl, and then yeah, then it causes some problems, and then due to that he end up distancing himself from the girl, but then in the end or he does see like uh that the way he's been acting is wrong, and so then yeah, they then end up reconciling in the end. Yeah, so yeah, so it really does kind of have once again something that really is kind of a standard story these days with a romantic um connection ensuing, and then yeah, then we got the problems, and then yeah, it kind of it causes tension between them, but then in the end they do make up. Yeah, but yeah, and overall, yeah, I did think that this was a pretty good film overall. Yeah, I don't really know, I wouldn't don't really know if I really say that this really is on the lines of a lot of other John Hughes movies that I have seen, but yeah, it is still a pretty good movie. Like I said, this really is one of the more popular movies that John Hughes has wrote. Yeah. So yeah, so John Hughes was only the writer for this movie. This movie was directed by Howard Dutch. Yeah, and the movie was released in 1986. Yeah, and yeah, and overall, yeah, like I said, I do think that this is a pretty good movie. I do think that it does do the story pretty well. It's kind of similar to the Breakfast Club in a sense, how it really does kind of have this teen story that we kind of like have seen a lot before. Yeah, but yeah, this really does have like more like stuff going on rather than in the Breakfast Club, where like in the Breakfast Club really it's just the kids talking through the entire thing. Yeah, here we do actually see some stuff going on. Yeah, and the movie does have a pretty good cast. Like in this movie, like you have cast members like Molly Ringwald, Harry Dean Stanton, John Cryer, Annie Potts, James Spader, Hater, and yeah, I mean, and some others in the movie. Yeah, and I do think that they all are pretty good in the movie. Yeah, yeah. This really did seem to kind of like have that like just like that formula of like the corny teen movies that we know now, and even like some teen series like Dawson's Creek and stuff. Yeah, but yeah, like I said, it is written like really really well, and the story that this movie does have, it is like interesting. Like it's not something where it's just like so corny that you can't sit through it. Like it is still like interesting to watch, and yeah, and the characters are like really good characters, and they're all really written well. So yeah, so while I don't really you, you know if I can really go so far to say that this is really like one of John Hughes' best works. I mean, it's not one of his worst by any means, but yeah, it's I don't really know if I would go so far to say that it is one of his best ones. But yeah, it is still good, and yeah, yeah, and it is still like a yeah, it is still a good film, and it's is definitely worth watching. So yeah, so I would give this film probably I guess I would give probably around like 3.25 stars out of 4. Yeah, I guess I would probably like lean towards that rating for the movie. All right, so yeah, so I guess I'll just start talking about the movie. Yeah, so the movie is focused on a high school girl named Andy Walsh, and it shows that like her father is really just underemployed, and it shows that like her best friend is like an outsider, Phil Dale, who is nicknamed Ducky. Yeah, yeah, and like I said, like it shows that like Ducky does actually have feelings for her, but like he never actually does confess it to her, and she's really not aware of it. So yeah, so kind of like a similar to like what they did in the Princess Diaries with the romance between Mia and Michael. Yeah, it's kind of like a similar thing here with Andy and Ducky. Yeah, yeah, and it shows that like they're like these group of like rich kids that are always like harassing Andy, Ducky, and their other friends, and which like it shows that like this the main one that's really bullying them is Benny Hansen along with her boyfriend Steph McKee, and it shows that like a Steph does actually find Andy attractive, but it shows that like every time he tries to go and try to talk to her, try to like get together with her, she just always just like rejects him, and it shows that like he like really does resent that, but he keeps it a secret. Yeah. Then one day it shows that like Andy does work in like a record store, showing that like it shows that like her manager Iona is like always kind of like giving Andy some advice, and even is like advising Andy to go to the upcoming school prom. Yeah, even though she doesn't have a date. Yeah, and then yeah, then eventually then like one of the preppy boys, which who's actually Steph's best friend, Blaine McDonough, then walks in, and then yeah, then he ended up like starting to talk to Andy, and then yeah, it showed that they really did, like really like each other, and so then they eventually then Blaine then eventually asked Andy out. Yeah, yeah, and yeah, then it, yeah, but then yeah, then on the night of the date, it showed then like Blaine like was late to pick Andy up at tracks, but then yeah, then like Ducky then was like trying to talk to Andy and tried to like pretty much like convince her to go out with him, but she was just ignoring it. Then yeah, then when Blaine then eventually then arrived, it showed that when uh Ducky found out that Blaine was going out with Andy, he he was like upset about it, and then yeah, because he Ducky actually like went to talk to Andy's father Jack and tried to like get some advice from him about it. So then he was trying to like pick up on the advice here, but it failed when he realized that Andy was going out with Blaine. Yeah, yeah. Then like their date was going over to like a house party that Steph was holding, but it showed that everybody was just mistreating Andy at the party, and then Andy then eventually then just left and brought Blaine over to a nightclub where Ducky and Iona were sitting together. But it showed that Ducky, of course, was very hostile towards Blaine, and then after an argument, and Andy and Blaine ended up just leaving the club, and yeah, then it showed that like a due to like the conditions that Andy was living in, like she really didn't want Blaine to actually take her home, and it showed that like she was like starting to break down about it because yeah, Blaine was really insistent on taking her home, but she didn't want to. Who and then like as she was trying to cover up, she eventually admitted it to him. Yeah, yeah. Then yeah, but eventually then Andy then allowed Blaine to drop her off at her home, and Blaine ended up asking uh, Andy to the prom, which then she agreed, and then yeah, then it showed that they shared a kiss together. Yeah, yeah. Then yeah, then yeah, but then it showed then how Steph and the other Richies were really getting on Blaine for spending time with Andy, and as a result of that, like due to all the pressure, then Blaine was then just starting to distance himself from Andy, and it showed that like how he really wasn't answering her phone calls and really just like wasn't around at all. Yeah, yeah. Then eventually, then Andy's father then presented her with a dress that he bought for her, but then she Andy then discovered because earlier on in the film her father had told her that he did actually get a full-time job, but then yeah here then she then revealed to her father that she discovered that he lied about it and is not working a full-time job. Then it was then shown that Andy's father is apparently just really having a hard time letting go of losing his wife. Yeah, yeah. He was just really just so bitter about it, and Andy then just helped him realize that just they did care about her, but she didn't feel the same way about them, and she just left. Left, yeah, yeah, and then that helped her father really get over the loss, and he really did start to strain himself out. Yeah, yeah. Then yeah, then one day at school, then it showed how Andy then actually confronted Blaine for avoiding her and not returning the calls. Then yeah, then of course Blaine was really just trying to cover up that he didn't really want to be the other Richies to see him with her. He was just saying stuff when she asked him about the prom, he just said that he had already asked someone else, but he forgot about it. But Andy knew that Blaine was lying about it, and then she knew the truth about it, and they just wanted Blaine to admit it, saying that he's ashamed of being seen with her because he knows that the other rich kids will not approve. And then as Andy then just ran off in disappointment, it showed that Blair really was really upset about it because he really did Andy. And then as a Steph was just starting to trash Andy, then Ducky then overheard what Steph said and then started to beat him up, really sticking up for Andy. Yeah. Yeah. Then as Andy then went to visit Iona again, really just upset about it, she asked for Iona's old prom dress, which she gave to her, and then it showed then how Andy really did combine fabric from Iona's dress, along with the dress her father bought for her, and created like a new dress out of both of them. Yeah. Then yeah, then she then decided that she was going to go to the prom by herself and not like really like let the fact that she didn't have a date with Blaine supposedly backing out really like make her just ashamed to go. So then she went to the prom by herself, but then she was starting to get cold feet about like actually braving through the crowd on her own. But then it showed then Ducky then arrived at the prom. Then yeah, then the two of them reconciled and then walked in the ballroom together. And then yeah, then as Steph then was just starting to mock the couple as he was drunk, Blaine finally like just had enough of Steph, and he just realized that like Steph resented Andy because of like how she turned him down, and then finally like he said that he doesn't want to associate with Steph anymore. So then yeah, then he went up to Blaine went up to Andy and Ducky, and then yeah, then he apologized for how he acted, and then yeah, then made up with Ducky and Andy, and just told Andy that he really does actually love her, and then he just kissed her cheek before he ended up like just leaving. But then Ducky then like realized that Blaine really is not like all the other rich kids, and then he advised Andy to go after him, which she did. Yeah, and then yeah, then as she did, then Ducky then ended up like seeing another girl smiling at him, and then yeah, then they started to dance, and it showed then Andy running after Blaine in the parking lot, and then yeah, then they just like stood with each other and then kissed, and then that's how the movie ended. So yeah, so yeah, so overall, I do think that this is a pretty good movie. It does tell the story really well. Like the characters are like really are written like very well, and the story is really interesting, and it's really not like corny as these kind of stories can usually get. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So really, just I really can't find really a whole lot to complain about the movie. I mean, maybe like this movie really is more geared towards like a female demographic. Maybe it's not really like entirely for the males, but yeah, if you really are like into these kind of stories, like if you are like into like these kind of like romantic teen stories, then yeah, this really is not a bad one to check out. Like, yeah, there definitely are like a lot of movies that really are like a lot more corny that this kind of story really just doesn't work out with. But yeah, with this one, it really does. It really is written very well, and it is a pretty good movie overall. So yeah, so like I said, I would give this movie probably 3.25 stars out of 4. Yeah. So yeah, so if you haven't seen it before, I would give it a recommendation. All right. So yeah, so I guess that's the best way I can put it. All right. So I guess this is all I have to say about this movie. All right. So yeah, so this is from my review of Pretty in Pink. So I hope you guys did enjoy this review. Yeah. All right. So yeah, yeah. So hope. So yeah. So this is from my review of Pretty in Pink. So yeah, hope you guys did enjoy, and stay tuned for more of these Rise and Fall of John Hughes reviews coming up. And next up, we're going to get to like one of the more popular John Hughes movies. All right, so yeah, so stay tuned for the next review. All right, but I hope you guys enjoyed this one. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.